All right, let's talk about a word we hear constantly, globalization. We all kind of have a picture in our heads, right? A smaller world, everyone connected. But what if that's only half the story? The sociologist Zygmunt Bauman saw something else entirely, a darker side, a hidden division that honestly changes how you see everything. So Bauman hits us with this: globalization divides as much as it unites. Whoa. Hold on a second. How does that even work? How can the very thing that connects us also be the thing that pulls us apart? It sounds like a total contradiction, but believe me, this single idea is what we're going to unpack today. So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How can a process that connects the world also tear it apart? Let's keep that question front and center, because by the time we're done here, you'll see Bauman's answer, and it reveals a whole new kind of pecking order for the world we live in today. Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we first need to tear down the common story we're all told about globalization.
You know the drill. This is the definition we all learn. Globalization, the process that's making the world one big, happy, interconnected family. It's often talked about like it's a force of nature. It's something inevitable that's happening to all of us, equally. But for Bauman, that rosy picture, it's not just wrong, it's dangerously misleading.
And here's where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you have the popular view, it unites everyone, it's just our fate, and it hits us all the same. But then you look at Bauman's take, and it's the complete opposite. He says it unites some but divides others. It's not fate, it's creating a new hierarchy. And the benefits? No way are they equal. The key takeaway here is that for Bauman, there is no one globalization. It's a totally different experience depending on where you stand.
So what's causing this split? What's the engine behind this new division? Well, for Bauman, it all boils down to how we experience two fundamental things: time and space. I mean, just think about it for a second. You can video chat with someone on the other side of the planet instantly. You can order something from halfway across the world and have it tomorrow. The world feels, well, smaller, right? And time feels like it's speeding up. This is what Bauman calls time-space compression, and it's pretty much the signature move of our globalized era.
But, and this is the absolute kicker, this feeling doesn't apply to everyone. Not even close. That shrinking world, that feeling of distance just melting away, that's a luxury. It's a privilege for the few. For a whole lot of other people, the world hasn't shrunk one bit. In fact, for them, their own hometowns can feel more like a prison than ever before.
And this brings us to the real heart of it. In our world, the new dividing line, the new way we're all sorted, is mobility. It's all about your freedom of movement. Can you surf this wave of compressed time and space, or are you stuck on the shore, just watching it all rush past you? That's the question that defines your place in the new global order. So you end up with two completely different groups. On one side, you've got the globals. These are the people for whom borders are just lines on a map and distance is meaningless. They can go anywhere. But on the other side, you have the locals, and that's most of us, who are more or less stuck where they are. And it's not just about money, It's fundamentally about this freedom to move. To really hammer this home, Bauman uses this incredible metaphor to describe these two new groups. He calls them the tourists and the vagabonds. Think about what those words mean. The tourist moves through the world by choice. The world is their playground. Their ability to move is their power. But the vagabond, they're either pushed out of their homes, forced to move, or they're just completely stuck in place. The world isn't open to them. It's something that just happens to them. Their immobility or forced mobility is a sign of their powerlessness. It's the same planet, but for these two groups, it's like living in two totally different dimensions.
So it makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? In this new world, are you a tourist or are you a vagabond? It's a pretty heavy question. It really makes you think about your own freedom and how much of it you really take for granted.
Okay, so this massive difference in mobility, it doesn't just create social classes. It completely rewires the nature of power itself. Power becomes untied, slippery, detached. This is what Bauman famously called liquid or fluid power. Listen to this quote. "The company belongs to people who invest in it, not to its employees, suppliers, nor the locality in which it is situated." I mean, wow, that just lays it bare, doesn't it? This is the very definition of fluid power. Money is no longer tied down to a place or to people or to a community. It can just float away, answering only to other globally mobile investors who have zero attachment to the places they profit from. And Bauman has a perfect name for this. He calls it the new absentee landlordship. It's a throwback, right? Think of old-timey landlords who lived somewhere else entirely but collected rent from tenants they never met. It's the same logic. Today's global elite can pull value and profit out of a community without ever having to deal with the fallout. Their ultimate power isn't in what they own, but in their ability to pack up and leave at a moment's notice.
So what does this do to politics? Well, it's a huge problem. First, capital, money, goes global. It can move anywhere, instantly. Then, it cuts its ties to any local responsibilities. And what happens next? The nation-state, which is stuck in one place, just can't control it anymore. It's like trying to catch water with a fishing net. So, real power leaks away from governments and flows to this landless global elite that isn't really accountable to anyone.
All right, so let's bring this all back down to earth. What does all this actually feel like? What are the human consequences of splitting the world between those who can move and those who can't?
Well, the fallout is pretty grim. You see it in our cities, right? Gated communities for some and forgotten neighborhoods for others. You see a total breakdown in communication. The tourists and the vagabonds are living in such different realities, they can't even understand each other anymore. And all of this creates this deep, gnawing uncertainty and fear. And what happens with that fear? It gets channeled into easy answers, like just wanting more law and order, instead of actually fixing the deep, complicated problems that are causing the fear in the first place.
And for Bauman, this is the really crucial part. Looking away, pretending that globalization is just this great, wonderful thing for everybody, that's not a neutral choice. He says the price of that silence is paid in the hard currency of human suffering. It has real, painful costs for the people left behind, for the vagabonds of our so-called connected world. And so, this is the final challenge Bauman leaves us with. Questioning the ostensibly unquestionable premises of our way of life is arguably the most urgent of the services we owe our fellow humans and ourselves. What he's saying is, our most important job is to question the ideas we're told are obvious, the things we're not supposed to question, like the idea that globalization is automatically a good thing. Because it's only when we start asking those hard questions that we can see the world for what it truly is, and maybe, just maybe, start to imagine how to make it better.